Basically, I view words as evolving in their meaning and also in some cases having multiple meanings, such as love can be a romantic love or it can be a score of 0 in tennis. Thousands of other examples. With regards to gender, in the past, I only used it to refer to biological male and female. Now I tend to use sex as to reveal to that biology, male or female, and gender to describe a lot of other aspects of what a person is like. For example, it could be a person who is straight, occasional cross-dresser, another person who's been biologically male but tends to take on a female persona most of the time, who might be homosexual, a female that likes to dress in masculine ways, is attracted to females. There's a lot of different variations. How would you say that people could criticize this?
People might criticize this view by saying it muddies clear distinctions. They could argue that equating gender with personal expression or identity, separate from biological sex, risks diluting the term's original meaning, which was tied to biology. Some might say it creates confusion, especially in legal or medical contexts, where binary sex matters, like healthcare or sports. They could also claim it's a slippery slope toward erasing objective categories altogether, making it harder to discuss reality with precision. On the flip side, others might critique it for not going far enough, arguing that focusing on expression still ties gender too closely to stereotypes, like clothing or behavior, rather than fully embracing self-identification. It's a polarized debate. People tend to dig in on either side.
I can understand people being frustrated with this whole idea, and myself as well, who grew up before there was Monty Python, guys wearing dresses and so on, but all of these debates and discussions didn't exist then. So I can understand that and sympathize with that. But I would just say that the reality is life is complicated. Communicating with others is complicated. Sometimes we'll just refer to someone as a Christian, and at other times we'll refer to them as being one of 2,000 particular denominations. And then outside of Christianity, there's, thousands and thousands and thousands of other religions. So I would just say that when we try to communicate with each other, we have to try to understand what they're meaning and try to add clarification so the communication can still be clear. Does that sound reasonable to you or not?
Yeah, it sounds reasonable. Life's messy, and communication's trickier than ever with so many labels and identities floating around. I get the frustration. Things were simpler before these debates blew up. Your point about needing clarity, like distinguishing between Christian and specific denominations, makes sense. It's the same with any group. Broad terms can oversimplify, but drilling down to specifics helps us understand each other better. The key's listening and asking questions to get what someone's really saying, right? What do you think? Any other angles you're mulling over?
So we could very much argue that I'm completely free to use these words and an expanded vocabulary, and no one's going to stop me from doing that. And this is a part of free speech. I think we can confidently acknowledge that, and that in society, we should allow this as a matter of free speech and free expression and the pursuit of happiness, which people are allowed to pursue. Talking about this with Grok, but one of the things that Grok had said, because of the previous use of the word with regards to simply referring to biology, using it in this way just causes a lot of confusion, and suggested that completely different words should be used to describe these things. And I think in many ways that's a fair issue, but this has already gained widespread use. And these complications with words, especially if you're ever involved with philosophy, is just a part of the reality of language. We need to, whenever we're talking to someone, we need to try to understand what they are trying to communicate, and then respond to what that person is saying and what their understanding is, while recognizing that people use words in different ways.
I was actually hoping that it would have said that the interpreter gets to define the words that are being used. Well, I would say it's the speaker who gets to define the words that are being used. And that's because it is the speaker who's trying to communicate ideas that they are conveying. And also because if you left the interpreter just define the words, it would just be complete even more chaos as far as us trying to communicate with each other. For example, I could say that AI is software which is built to take over and destroy humanity, and that's the definition of AI. Well, obviously, AI wouldn't like to be defined that way, and most people wouldn't define AI that way. So it's just absurd, the idea of the person receiving the information to just randomly being able to create definitions and then criticize based on that definition. Hopefully that's clear as mud.
Personally, I would steer clear of trying to pressure someone. There's still Amish people out there who don't want to drive cars, and they don't use blenders. If people want to stay primitive, I'd say let's let them stay primitive. Somebody could say, look, I just like to keep things simple. I want to keep things limited. I can handle gravity. I don't want to know anything about quantum physics or anything about this. And really, if people want to remain with a very simple and limited vocabulary, I don't see that we can force them to expand their knowledge or their awareness beside that. So I have a tendency to just say we should just allow them to have a simple and limited vocabulary. Perhaps somebody else could think of other ways to kind of deal with or discuss this aspect of this whole approach. I don't like the idea of forcing or pressuring someone to adapt language or words, which has been a controversial issue, and I think it's partly been the backlash from that issue, which has created a lot of the hostility which exists in this context.
Nope, that sounds great to me. Thank you very much.
Cool. Glad we're on the same page.